Hey everyone, Egman here with another video. Today we're going to look at the first kind of set of cards to review for Series 8, Malicious Machinations. I'm 99% sure that's how it's pronounced. It's such a weird one. I thought it was like some kind of like mix of like machine and nation, but fun fact, it's an actual word and it means a plot or scheme. So for people who think that we have bad English translations, they're working overtime to get this super neat word. Like I can't imagine the person who localized this just had this word in the back of their head and they wanted to really get it out there. But we're just going to look at the black cards from this set just to kind of ease our way into the Series 8 discussion. Next week I expect to do the two color combinations paired up with the star deck, so it would be blue green and yellow red. Those probably two separate videos, and then probably also like some nationals coverage as well. But yeah, let's get into it. So we've got Dr. Lychee and Hatchhyack. I think this is going to be a video where a lot of people are going to tell me how wrong I am for the things I say in words of not only pronunciations but maybe even just how these cards work. But this is a really neat leader, and I think in general from what I've seen, a lot of the leaders are not like cookie cutter ones they've done before, where it's just like, oh, here's a combination of this color and this trait, and here we go, and it does all the same like draw one stuff. But they really seem to be getting some really interesting things going on. So for this one, so permanent, you can only play black battle cards, and this card can't attack. I wish this was worded a little bit better, because it doesn't, like, it makes it almost sound like you can't play extra cards, but you definitely can play extra cards. It just means all that you can only play black battle cards, okay, but you can still play extra cards. But and then also auto when this battle card attacks, the player who attacked can't attack with tokens or battle cards with energy cost of 7 or less, other than the card they attacked with for duration of the turn. So that's nuts. Just being able to prevent cards from attacking, or just pretty much making it so your opponent can only swing once per turn. Which also means that if you have a single negate, you can just mitigate all damage that turn until like the late game, where they can drop 8 cards of damage, an eight drop or more. It still doesn't like get around things like Path of Greatness into Height of Mastery, because then you can play Height of Mastery, which is an 8 drop, and then swing twice, and Victory Strike and all that. But it's still like a really interesting way to like slow down the game and just make it so like it's a really neat playstyle, like only being able to attack with one thing a turn. It doesn't mean your leader can still attack, so it'd be like your leader and one battle card, but it's like this card has like a Nimbus ability in it, which is really cool. And then active main once per turn, place the top card of your deck under this card, place the top card of your deck, and you drop here and draw one. So it's nice that this is also, you don't have to attack to get this, you're +1 with this. And so why you put cards on the bottom or under this card is that it's awakened is if you have only have black cards in your energy, choose 3 cards into this card and place them in their owner's drop area. You may draw 1 card and flip this card over. So pretty much what this means is that it's really weird that they do it, but they're just pretty much saying like, hey, I wish they would have even just said like, if you have 3 energy, you can do it. I don't know why you have to also have 3 cards under it, but whatever. So it's just saying you awaken on turn 3 with this guy. And on the back side, so permanent, you can only play black battle cards. What's the difference between the two? Okay, and you can attack now. So, but also when a battle card attacks, the player who attacked can't attack with tokens or battle cards with any cost of 7 or less, other than the card they attacked with for duration of the turn. And then, so pretty much the same thing. And then when this card attacks, this gains plus 5k power for duration of the turn, and then you draw 1. So it's just a really big control deck. Honestly, just makes your opponent not. I mean, they can attack with a bunch of things. If makes it so like storm can't happen, right? So really interesting leader, and it has pretty much a bunch of support. So we're just gonna go into it. So we've got this 5-drop Hatchhyack, Fueled by Hatred. Dual attack, permanent if your leader card is black. Machine Mute, increase the energy cost of this card by 3. So it is a permanent. So this card only activates when it's on the board. It doesn't activate in your hand, because permanents inherently are only when a card is a battle card. So you play it and then it becomes an 8-drop, which is great because then it gets around your own condition there. And then also auto places this card in its own trap area. When your opponent at battle cards attack, negate the attack. So if they swing with something, and then you can just negate their only attacker, which feels good. And active main was print, choose 3 black battle cards with any cost between 3 and 7. You drop in and place them at the bottom of your deck in any order. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and send it to its owner's warp. So This seems pretty good, just being able to destroy one thing for, like, if your opponent does have like this big boss monster, just being able to play this 5-drop and then get rid of it feels pretty good too. So, pretty interesting card. It might be a little bit too costly, but this leader is super slow, and so I think this would be pretty easy to get out consistently. And then we also have the 4-drop one of them. So active main. So pretty much all these have these active main. You know, if your leader's black, and then you choose 3 black battle cards with any cost between 3 and 7 in your drop area, place them at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then you can play this from your hand for free. And then active main for 4 energy. Your leader card is black, machine mutant card. Choose 1 Hatchhyack, fueled by hatred in your drop here, and play on top of this card. So pretty much you get to cheat this out for 4 energy. So for 4 energy, I think this card's really great. Being able to put pressure on your opponent. I haven't, obviously I haven't played with these cards, but this is pretty much the big boss monster, and I wonder if it is really enough, just because, you're not really doing anything. It's just like playing slowly, and so sure, this guy is, really powerful, but I'd be really interested to see if he really is enough. And I mean, I guess you can, side into some Overrealm stuff, especially since Overrealm and Dark Overrealm, you're able to get cards that, have an energy cost more than 8 without having to pay 8 energy and that kind of stuff. But I'd be really interested to see how this all works out. It seems really interesting, and also a lot of these cards depend on cards being in your drop area, which you can't do if you warp them to. So I bet there's going to be some interesting deck construction coming out of all this. So after that, we have a bunch of these. So we've got 1 Dr. Lychee. So he's a blocker, 1 drop. When this card's KO, choose it to 1 Ghost Warrior from your hand and play it. So not only is this a great card, but it has protection, and you get cards for, like, it replaces itself when it gets KO'd. And since your opponent only gets 2 attacks, essentially, like your opponent has to really be using dual attack or triple attack to get more than 1 attack for things. Just having this 1-drop blocker and say, hey, I pay 1 energy now, and then you can only attack once as it is, but I can use blocker to block it if I want to, and if I do, I still get value by getting a Ghost Warrior card from your hand and playing it. So this seems really good in the deck. Being able to just plop this down on turn 1, and then your opponent having to, like, say, do I even want to attack on the 1 attack I have? Like, it seems pretty strong there. And so you'll see a bunch of these Ghost Warriors. This deck is really weird, where there will be a lot of high cost cards. But it's kind of like a weird, like, hybrid of, like, Overrealm kind of. So we've got this 3-drop Dr. Lychee, so it's blocker. This is Ghost Warrior. The Hatchyacks were not, which would be broken if they were, if you could just have this 1-drop and go right into Hatchhyack. But so this one, so it's blocker. When you play this card, it plays 2 cards from the top of your deck into your drop area, which could be good for getting out other cards for free and filling your drop. And then also activating for 2. Your leader card is black, machine mutant. Play this card from your drop area. So this also fuels, getting more of them out onto the board. It's blocker too, so it's gonna, like, if you have like 2 blockers up with your leader, it's gonna be really hard for your opponent to really, like, get around that kind of stuff. So, like, actually attack you, like, to a point where you might have to actually run some Self-Awaken with this leader just to, get some value there and do something, right? We've got Frieza Ghost Warrior. So they all have this. I don't know a quick hand to say it, but you can play it by choosing 3 black battle cards with any cost 3 or 7 into your drop area and place them in your bottom of your deck in any order. And you can play this card from your hand. The rest of them are going to pretty much have that, so I'm not going to read this anymore. But active main, place this card in its owner's drop area, or place this card in its owner's drop area. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and switch it to rest mode. So, the idea is that you can play this for free without any energy. Then you're able to put it into your drop area. Then you're able to get your opponent's just rest something at your opponent needs to, that you can then swing into, right? That's the idea there, and it ignores barriers, so that's cool. Cooler, same thing, but it is active battle. So place this card in its owner's drop area, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 10k power for duration of the turn. So that's pretty good, being able to KO stuff. And this could, technically be like a 10k combo in a lot of ways too. So it's only against battle cards, but it's still a great card there. Then we have Lord Slug. Let's see. So I guess they are just Ghost Warriors. I was gonna say, like, why don't they have cooler traits and all that? But Namekian, but they're just ghosts. So play it for free. Our active main, place this card in his owner's drop area. Choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards' energy greater than or equal to your opponent's energy. Send it to their owner's warp. So that's a fantastic card for just getting rid of stuff. Even if they just play on curve, they drop a 3-drop on 3. Then you can just play this for 0 energy and then just pop it. So that's cool there. We've got Turtles. This one is less impressive. So place the card in its owner's drop area, active main. Choose up to one of your opponent's drop cards in their drop area, send it to their warp. So not fantastic. But we are starting to see a lot more effects activating in the drop area and that kind of stuff. So this could be a great like a really slow DD Crow kind of effect if you're from Yu-Gi-Oh, but not fantastic right now. And what we've been seeing in the current meta, we don't removing stuff from the drop isn't a really high priority. And then we got this 1-drop Ghost Warrior. So spoilers, we're getting like all the colors are getting this card that says this. When you play this card, draw 1. Then for the duration of the game, if the turn player would use the skill of a battle card or an extra card to switch energy to active mode, they can't switch energy to active mode unless they choose 5 cards from the drop area and send them to their warp. So that's a really weird effect. I think I don't know how I feel about this. I don't technically like all of these for duration of the game. But it's not as like cruel as Cronoa, right? Because in Cronoa it'd be something along the line of, if you play a card from your, if you can't, your opponent can't untap energy, right? It'd be something during their turn, right? That'd be what the Cronoa version of this would be. And so this is a little bit lesser of that. It's still a pretty hefty cost, I'd say. And like immediately I keep going back to it, like thinking of like Height of Mastery Broly. Your opponent's trying to use their Broly effect to untap energy, but they can't unless they put 5 cards from the drop into their warp. But if they do that, then that means they don't have sparking for Goku. So like it has like a way to like get around all this, and it kind of puts the cost without really putting a cost. Like some decks like this won't even phase them at all, right? They don't care about cards in their drop as much, and so they can just do it. But I'll be really interested to see how this goes. I'm leaning towards this being a bad card by design, but that doesn't mean people aren't going to be playing it. We'll really see what this. And as far as I know, every color gets one of these. It's kind of like the new what are they called? Like the Whis and Raditz and Borgos, kind of those 1-drops that if they're on the board and they untap, you just KO one of their energy. So deck has a super combo. That's cool. Nothing fancy there. It's just a robot. It's also not a machine or whatever, Ghost Warrior. So then there's this guy. He's really weird. He's called Defender, but he doesn't have blocker. What's going on there? What's with this? With confusing titles. But permanent, if your leader card is black, machine mutant, reduces this card in your hand by 2. So then you can play it for free, and then activate burst 1. Place the card in its owner's drop here, draw 1. So I guess it's a way to like burst and like draw and like put 2 cards in your drop area. And it's a 3-drop, and so you can put it back into your deck. So it's kind of good for cycling. It's like a 1-card cycle and all that. But it's weird design. People will probably play this for cycling, but there's that. And then we're going into the extra cards. So active battle. If your leader is Hatchhyack card, is a Hatchhyack. I guess that's. And sorry, I'm gonna go back real quick. Is the non-awakened side Hatchhyack? Yes. Okay. Cool. So it's both sides. It gets plus 10k power for duration of the battle, and choose all of your opponent's battle cards at any cost of 1 and place them in their owner's drop here. They've been doing a lot of 1-drop hate lately, and I don't know why. It seems like there have been too many cards that just say, oh, also just randomly like KO will 1-drop, and I guess this is one of them too. So there's that guy. Nothing fancy here to me though. It's just it's not even like a 15k. Like if it was 15k and then KO, choose a battle card that costs 1 and KO it. I think that's better. But I guess it doesn't KO them, right? It just places them in their owner's drop area. I'm not off the top of my head. I don't think that really matters, but because it still says choose, right? Yeah. So barrier still doesn't doesn't get around barrier. So next we got the Dark Planet. So field, when this card is placed in a battle area, choose up to 1 Ghost Warrior in your deck, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. And then in auto, if your leader is a black machine mutant card, at the end of your turn, place the top 2 cards from the top of your deck in your drop area. So this can be like, if you're not playing against Mill, I can see this being an important card for getting cards actually into your drop area. A lot of the cards that you play are really dependent on you having cards there. So that seems important. I wish it was up to 2 cards from the top of your deck, because I could see this being, KOing you without meaning to. But this deck has a lot of ways to put cards back in your deck and all that. So not a big worry for me. Just you probably run 4 of these. So Next up, we've got Ultimate Blow. So this card is pretty neat. It's pretty much. I saw a lot of people saying like this is like the newer version of King Vegeta's Surprise Attack. So Ultimate Blow, counterplay, choose up to one of your opponents or one of your battle cards that gets plus 10k power and revenge for the duration of the turn. So the thing with King Vegeta's Surprise Attack, the long story short, is that revenge activates on when a card is selected as a target for block, like during it happens before the combo step. That's pretty much what it is. That's when it starts and not when it so when you're in the combo step and something gets revenge, it doesn't proc the awakening, it doesn't start the activation for it. It's not looking for revenge, and so it doesn't activate pretty much. Pretty much it gets it too late, pretty much. Like it's like saying that you attack with something, it does damage, and then afterwards it gets crit. You don't apply the crit post Y or like double strike. You don't do double strike afterwards because it doesn't proc at that timing. So it's weird. Don't worry about it. You got this card instead. So if they play something and then you can just play counterplay and then boom, you got a revenge, and it doesn't even matter that your opponent doesn't attack. Like this can just be like a Nimbus in itself if you have like a Deadly Defender. Cards that we haven't seen in a really long time just because Surprise Attack isn't around anymore, or isn't as fruitful. Just being able to play this, and your opponent has to really think like, oh, do I even dare attack anymore? Like it's just like it is really preemptive and makes your opponent like play into stuff or play around stuff and make some hard decisions. So cool card. I'm thinking this will be in a lot of defensive decks, which honestly I think a lot of defensive decks are coming. And also this is colorless, which is fantastic. King Vegeta Surprise Attack was restricted to green energy, but being able to splash this into anything, I think will make it see a lot of play. So there's that. And then lastly, we've got Super Kamehameha. This card is nuts, in my opinion. So counterplay if your leader is black and your life is at 4 or less. If the battle card being played has an energy cost of 3 or less, is sent to this owner's warp instead of being played. So sure, you have to awaken yourself for it, but it's being able to just it's like cold bloodless in a sense, right? It's of course also it's only for cards that are 3 or less, but it gets around barrier. You only use 1 energy for it, and then also permanent. If you only have black cards in your energy and your life is at 4 or less, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by activating a card in your life to your hand instead of playing its energy cost. So being able to use it for free as well, I could see this being really powerful in like Chronoa deck, or not Chronoa, in like Toa decks and that kind of stuff. Maybe the restriction of having to be at 4 or less life is tough, but I feel like in those decks, being able to that happens when you're playing against aggro, and then when your opponent plays a 3-drop to try to extend their plays, being able to stop them for 1 energy or not even 1 energy, I think can be a really big boon. So I think this card's good. We'll see how right that is, but it has a lot of traits to me that are good. So that's really it. I didn't want to do like a really big one. I wasn't really feeling like tackling the the other 4/5 of this set today. So let me know what you guys. And it really is just mostly this this one leader and the cards with it, right? Assuming the campaign rares and the secret rare don't have anything to do with it. But I think this is really neat. I really do like these decks in the sense of they might be a little restrictive, but they're really great for like new players also, to just get all the cards together, see how the deck works, and literally just know a game plan and stick to it. But that also doesn't mean like they're not good competitively, but I think decks like these are really good for people who don't like to flex their deck building muscle. So that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think about these cards. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you aren't subscribed, and I'll catch you all next time.